All right, so here we are at Cedar Lake in Minneapolis, and right now this lake is frozen and it's really cold outside, so there's going to be obviously no algae blooms going on in this kind of weather, but the algae are actually just as present as ever. So what they did in 2020, winter of 2020, they did a study on this lake, and they actually found that cyanobacteria, the population in this lake, have evolved a trait which allows them to survive extreme conditions in the winter. So basically, when they die, once the algae dies off from their blooms or just their regular growth during the summer, they actually settle to the bottom of the lake as aconite, which is cyanobacteria's resting state that can survive these extreme conditions. And it actually allows them to come back just as strong, if not stronger, in the next spring and summer season. And this is exactly what happened in 2020. In the spring of 2020, there was an algae bloom in this lake. And now this is actually really uncommon. Algae blooms usually happen in the late summer when it's the hottest outside. Typically, algae blooms will happen in warmer weather. Algae really prefer the warmer conditions, which I will add that climate change is exacerbating those warm conditions. The summers are becoming hotter and hotter in Minnesota, allowing them to thrive more and more. But this didn't even matter for the algae nowadays, because in the spring, even though it was just a regular cold spring, it wasn't even warm, they were able to bloom and thrive in those conditions. And they actually had to put up signs at this beach and around here to warn people not to swim in the lake, or anything that could have them possibly drink the water or ingest it, or have their dogs or pets ingest it either, because cyanotoxins, which cyanobacteria sometimes release, they're toxic. And actually a dog died because of their ingesting it. So it's a huge concern, obviously. And one thing I noticed when I came to this lake were these houses right here. And if you can kind of see, they have these sloped lawns. So anything they're putting on their lawn, like fertilizer, is going to come right down into the lake, and it's going to exacerbate this eutrophication that's going on. Now, in Minnesota, actually, phosphorus-free fertilizer is not even the standard. It's not illegal to have phosphorus in fertilizer. So if these people are using phosphorus in their fertilizer, they're going to exacerbate those conditions in the lake, as well as if they have dogs. I heard a dog barking over here. So if they're not cleaning up their pets, their poop, that could also run off into the lake and cause eutrophication. Another thing that could happen is if they mowed their lawn and they didn't bag the clippings, that could flow into the lake, and dead plant material like algae releases phosphorus, and it causes eutrophication to happen year over year. So that's what's happening in this lake. There's actually over 600 lakes in Minnesota that are considered eutrophic. So it's a big problem, and it's going to keep coming back year after year, and it's going to take years of effort to stop this from happening once and for all. And it really starts with houses like this, and farmers, and everyone having making an effort to do their part.